Good morning, good morning, good morning. Everybody looks so chipper this morning. The time for convening has arrived. The Senate will come to order. All unauthorized visitors, please exit the chamber at this time. I recognize the Rules Chairman for his description on the journal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I got a lot to tell you about the journal. But before I do, I'm going to tell you what great pages we have here today. Out of Clarksville, we have Sabrina Blackburn. From Alpharetta, we have Alexandra Borman. From Duluth, Chloe Choi. From Woodstock, Isabella Cloette. From Lincolnton, Harper Cunningham. From Atlanta, Ashley Evans. From Atlanta, Lydia Foy. From Jefferson, Chance Gravitt. From McDonough, we have brother and sister Brooks and Hannon Grimwood Moss. From Jefferson, Peyton Hawkins. From Lincolnton, Kylie Hedrick. From Loganville, David Horton. From Glenwood, Gabrielle Keene. From Riverdale, Josiah Lewis. From Jefferson, Tripp Moore. From Ackworth, Preston Wynn. From Jonesboro, Xylee Perry. From Buford, Dana Reeves. From Jonesboro, Ajana Sweeney. From Atlanta, Emma Timberlake. And from Woodstock, we have Stockton White. Y'all give these pages a big round of applause. We appreciate you being here to serve the great people of the great state of Georgia. Mr. President, let me tell you about this journal. It has been read, and I have found everything to be correct. So I move that we dispense with the reading of the journal.
All right.
You heard it.
I mean, it's, bipartisan efforts right here already. Everybody's feeling good this morning, I can tell you. All right. Is there objection to dispensing of the reading of the journal? Chair hears none, and the reading of the journal is dispensed with. Is there objection to the confirmation of the journal? Chair hears none. The journal is confirmed. And we are very grateful for all the pages that are here today as well. So I appreciate the Senator recognizing each and every one of you, and always like to have all the young folks down here at the page, and we got a good group here today. So all senators who have bills and resolutions introduced, please bring them to the Secretary's desk at this time. First reading and references of Senate bills. Mr. Secretary.
Senate Bill 613 by Senators Davenport of the 17th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act placing the sheriff
and local government.
Senate Bill 614 by Senator Davenport of the 17th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to provide a home
state and local government.
Senate Bill 615 by Senator James of the 28th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend
state
chapter
and local government general.
Senate Bill 616 by Senators Halpern of the 39th and others, a bill to be entitled
state and local government.
Senate Bill 617 by Senators Halpern of the 39th and others, a bill to be entitled
Judiciary.
Senate Resolution 890 by Senators Halpern of the 39th and others, a resolution
economic development.
Senate Resolution 897 by Senators Brass of the 6th and others, a resolution.
Transportation.
Mr. President, that completes the order.
First reading references of House bills.
House Bill 158 by Representatives Franklin of the 160th and others.
Government oversight.
House Bill 664 by Representative Silcox of the
Judiciary.
House Bill 1045 by Representatives Herring of the 145th.
Education and youth.
House Bill 1076 by Representatives Earhart of the
Judiciary.
House Bill 1191 by Representative Osteen of
Public
the
safety.
House Bill 1192 by Representatives Taylors of
government oversight.
House Bill 1195 by Representatives Leverett.
Agriculture.
House Bill 1196 by Representative Smith.
Judiciary.
House Bill 1201 by Representative Gullett of the
Public safety.
House Bill 1209 by Representative Steffens.
Finance.
House Bill 1230 by Representative Jones.
Transportation.
House Bill 1268 by Representatives Burchett of the 176th and others.
Judiciary.
House Bill 1290 by Representatives Hilton of the 48th and others.
Judiciary.
House Bill 1310 by Representatives Ford of the 100th.
Development.
House Bill 1396 by Representatives Abstration.
Health and Human Services.
Mr. President, that completes the order.
Secretary read reports of standing committees.
Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Public Safety has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation. Senate Bill 569, do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Albers of the 56th District, Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Rules has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation. Pursuant to Senate Rule 2-1.10b, the Committee on Rules has referred the following legislation from the general calendar, House Bill 1199, to the Committee on Rules. Respectfully submitted, Senator Brass of the 6th District, Chairman. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Recognize the senator from 56.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd ask unanimous consent that Senate Rules 4-2-9C and 4-2.6 be suspended to allow for a bill to be second read on the same day that it was reported out of committee due to a clerical error.
Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Bill 569 by Senator Strickland of the 42nd and others. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 40 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to motor vehicles and traffic so as to provide for the issuance of emergency vehicle light permits for towing service companies in certain instances, to revise the definition, to provide for related matters, to repeal conflicting laws, and for other purposes. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Is there objection? Out of objection. Secretary, read bills and resolutions for a second time.
Senate Bill 190 by Senator Wicks of the 34th and others. Parks, historic areas, memorials, and recreation. Certain fee waivers for active duty members of the military, veterans, and family members provide. Senate Bill 209 by Senator Goodman of the 8th and others. Teachers Retirement System of Georgia, members of the Public School Employees Retirement System, to make an irrevocable election to become members, permit certain persons. Senate Bill 299 by Senator Walker III of the 20th and others. Notaries Public, members of the Armed Forces on active duty, to use online notaries public for certain matters provide. Senate Bill 324 by Senator Harbin of the 16th and others. Life insurance, certain protections for life insurance policyholders and beneficiaries provide. Senate Bill 367 by Senator Cowsert of the 46th and others. Certificate of need, healthcare facilities, services, and equipment dedicated exclusively to the treatment of cancer provide for exemption. Senate Bill 410 by Senator Brass of the 6th and others. State sales and use tax, the data center equipment sales and use tax exemption repeal. Senate Bill 418 by Senator Burns of the 23rd and others. Torts, cause of action against the knowing and unauthorized use of an individual's photograph or image together with representations of nudity or sexually explicit content provide. Senate Bill 423 by Senator Bearden of the 30th and others. Government transparency, campaign committees, independent committees, political action committees, and leadership committees from accepting contributions or donations from non-Georgia persons that exceed 50% of all contributions received prohibit. Senate Bill 442 by Senator Dickerson of the 21st and others. Driver's license, revocation, and expiration of commercial driver's license for non-citizens provide. Senate Bill 445 by Senator Dolezal of the 27th and others. Georgia Promise Scholarship Act. Public schools with a statewide attendance zone and certain charter schools shall not be included in the separate list of public schools annually reported by the Office of Student Achievement provide. Senate Bill 488 by Senator Setzler of the 37th and others. Torts, generative artificial intelligence systems shall constitute personal property for purposes of certain actions for product liability alleging injury to a minor provide. Senate Bill 499 by Senator Ginn of the 47th and others. Dangerous instrumentalities and practices, prohibition on possessing a silencer repeal. Senate Bill 510 by Senator Setzler of the 37th and others. Board of Education of Cobb County. Future elections for members of the Board of Education shall be nonpartisan. Provide. Senate Bill 515 by Senator Hickman of the 4th and others. Quality Basic Education Act. Grants for educational programs. Provisions relative to the teacher recruitment and retention tax credit system. Revise. Senate Bill 532 by Senator Halpern of the 39th and others. Proceedings, defendant notices of certain proceedings and pleadings when such defendant failed to file pleadings. Provide. Senate Bill 547 by Senator Strickland of the 42nd and others. Offenses of pimping and pandering. Modify the penalties. Senate Bill 553 by Senator Hatchett of the 50th and others. Professions and businesses. Repeal Chapter 14 relating to electrical contractors, plumbers, conditioned air contractors, low voltage contractors, and utility contractors, and enact a new Chapter 14. Senate Bill 555 by Senator Williams of the 25th and others, War Veterans Home, the admission of eligible non-veteran residents to a Georgia War Veterans Home under certain circumstances, authorized. Senate Bill 556 by Senator Payne of the 54th and others, Hope Scholarship, the inclusion of advanced placement and international baccalaureate fine arts courses and the calculation of grade point averages, provide. Senate Bill 566 by Senator Huff-Stetler of the 52nd and others, ad valorem taxation of property, the acceptance of tax digest in the event of a publication error made by a newspaper, provide. Senate Bill 568 by Senator Dolezal of the 27th and others, elections and primaries. The list of eligible voters is posted and made public prior to each primary or election. Require. Senate Bill 570 by Senator Still of the 48th and others, Georgia Human Trafficking Prevention Training Act, enact. Senate Bill 572 by Senator Strickland of the 42nd and others, criminal prosecutions and additional justification for use of force in defense of self or others, provide. Senate Bill 573 by Senator Setzler of the 37th and others, primaries and elections, the nonpartisan election for county officers and district attorneys in certain counties, provide. Senate Bill 576 by Senator Tillery of the 19th, ad valorem taxation, assessment of tangible real property used for community housing provider properties, provide. Senate Bill 586 by Senator Williams of the 25th and others, K-9 Law Enforcement Heroes Act of 2026, enact. Senate Bill 587 by Senator Still of the 48th and others, offenses against public health and morals, the establishment of an animal cruelty database, provide. Senate Bill 589 by Senator Brass of the 6th and others, Quality Basic Education Act, the date by which a child must attain a certain age to be eligible for enrollment in kindergarten or first grade, revise. Senate Bill 591 by Senator Gooch of the 51st and others, offenses against public order, the disruption of a religious service, prohibit. Senate Bill 592 by Senator Gooch of the 51st and others, One Strike Act, enact. Senate Bill 593 by Senator Hatchett of the 50th and others, development impact fees, disclosure of impact fees upon transfer or ownership, provide. Senate Bill 594 by Senator Bearden of the 30th and others, Internet and email fraud, the criminal offense of digital identity fraud, establish. Senate Bill 604 by Senator Cowsert of the 46th and others, crimes and offenses, the Attorney General concurrent jurisdiction with district attorneys to conduct criminal prosecutions of violent crimes, illegal immigration offices, and fentanyl offenses, provide. Senate Bill 605 by Senator Cowsert of the 46th and others, prosecuting attorneys, additional grounds for discipline of a district attorney or solicitor general or for his or her removal or involuntary retirement from office, provide. Senate Bill 606 by Senator Cowsert of the 46th and others, District Attorney Compensation Reform Act, enact. Senate Bill 607 by Senator Cowsert of the 46th and others, grand juries, creation, selection, composition, compensation, procedures, and term, provide. Senate Resolutions 838 by Senator Dolezal of the 27th and others, State Assurance of Voter Eligibility Amendment. Senate Resolution 875 by Senator Cowsert of the 46th and others, statewide grand juries, jurisdiction, powers, and duties, provide. Mr. President? Senate Bill 569 by Senator Strickland of the 42nd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 40 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to motor vehicles and traffic so as to provide for the issuance of emergency vehicle light permits for towing services companies in certain instances, to revise the definition, to provide for related matters, to repeal conflicting laws, and for other purposes. Mr. President, that completes the order.
It is now time for the morning roll call. Are there any motions to excuse? Recognize the senator from the 35th.
All right. Good morning. I ask for unanimous consent to excuse the following senators for business inside the Capitol: 17, 36, 44, and 40.
17, 36, 44.
And 17. I'm sorry. Take 17 off. I'm looking right at you. My apologies. Please take 17 off. So that's 36, 40, and 44.
Without objection, the senators from 36th, 44th, and the 40th are excused. Any other motions to excuse? Any other motions? Secretary will call the roll. Senators, signify your presence by voting the yay switch. Secretary will unlock the machine. It is now time for the morning devotion. All senators, please take your seats and cease all conversation. I would ask that the doorkeepers secure the chamber at this time. I now recognize the good senator from the 33rd, Cobb County's finest, to lead us in our pledge and introduce our pastor of the day. Thank you.
Let's stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now the Georgia flag, y'all.
I pledge allegiance to the Georgia flag and to the principles for which it stands, wisdom, justice, moderation, and courage.
Thank you, Mr. President, my fellow senators, colleagues, friends, and y'all. Today I have the pleasure of introducing Dr. Timothy Williams, affectionately known as Dr. Tim. He is a devoted husband, proud father of 3 adult children, and the joyful grandfather of 4 grandsons. A native of Detroit, Michigan, he is the founder and pastor of New Beginnings Community Church and has dedicated his life to strengthening people, communities, and the common good. Dr. Williams is a Morehouse man, a graduate of Morehouse College, where he earned a Bachelor of Arts in Religion and Sociology. He also holds 2 masters and a Doctor of Divinity from Ashland Theological Seminary and is currently completing his PhD in theology at the University of Ghana in West Africa. He serves as a professor in the Department of Philosophy and Religion at Morehouse College and as Assistant Dean of Campus Ministry at Martin Luther King Jr. International Chapel, where he helps guide the spiritual and moral formation of students. And in addition to his pastoral academic work, Dr. Williams is an executive and leadership coach and the founder of Tim Williams International Leadership and Consulting Practice. We now have the pleasure of allowing me to introduce to you Dr. Tim.
Good morning, Mr. President and honorable members of the Georgia State Senate. Thank you for the privilege of sharing a brief thought as you begin another day of service to the people of this great state. I would like to offer a reflection from an ancient wisdom text from Proverbs chapter 20, verse 5, which says, "A person's thoughts are like deep waters, but one with insight draws them out." Public service, I don't need to tell you, is demanding work. The responsibilities are great, the expectations are high, and the issues before you are rarely simple. In environments like this, there's a constant pressure toward what I would call compression. The pressure of deadlines, competing voices, urgent decisions, and the weight of representing many different communities. Compression can make leadership feel crowded on the inside. But the wisdom tradition from the text that I read offers a different path. It reminds us that insight does not come from the surface of things. It comes from depth. The proverb says, "The thoughts of the heart are like deep water." That means wisdom is rarely found on the surface, rarely found in the rush of the moment. It is drawn from the deeper well within. In other words, leadership is as best not about activity only, but it is about cultivating an inner life. The capacity to lead others is strengthened when leaders protect a space within themselves that is not overwhelmed by the pressures around them. I often describe this occupying from a wholeness rather than compression. To occupy from wholeness means that in even demanding moments such as these, you do not allow the moment to crowd out your clarity, your values, or your sense of purpose. Instead, you lead from a place of spaciousness, a mind that can think clearly, a heart that can listen deeply. And when leaders operate from that kind of inner spaciousness, something powerful happens. They begin to see beyond immediate pressures. They begin to hear perspectives that may otherwise be missed. And they are able to make decisions that serve not only the urgency of the moment, but the long-term welfare of the people. So as you today deliberate, debate, and decide today, my encouragement is simple. Guard your inner spaciousness. Because from that deeper well come the insight, discernment, and wisdom that public servants require. And when leaders draw from that well, the communities they serve are strengthened. And with that spirit in mind, let us pause together for a moment of prayer. Will you please stand? Gracious and loving God, at the beginning of this day of service, we pause to acknowledge that wisdom does not come from the noise alone, but from the deeper places of reflection and understanding. We ask that you grant the leaders gathered in this chamber clarity of mind and steadiness of heart. In moments of complexity, give them discernment. In moments of disagreement, give them patience. In moments of pressure, help them remain grounded in wisdom. And may their deliberations today be guided by integrity, fairness, and a sincere desire for the well-being of the people they represent. Bless their work, strengthen their leadership, and may they serve, and may their service contribute to the flourishing of every community across the great state of Georgia. And the House said, amen.
we have our doctor of the day. I'll call on the senator from the 33rd. Introduce.
Thank you, Mr. President, my fellow senators, colleagues, friends, and y'all. Dr. Joanne Zhu received her master's degree from the University of South Florida in Tampa, Florida. She received her medical degree from the University of Texas Southwestern Medical School in Dallas, Texas. Dr. Zhu completed her internal medicine residency at the University of North Carolina Hospitals in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Dr. Zhu is board certified in internal medicine with focused practice in hospital medicine. She is a fellow of the American College of Physicians and the Society of Hospital Medicine. Dr. Zhu currently is in practice with the WellStar Hospital Kennestone Group. I now introduce to you Dr. Zhu.
Thank you very much. I won't take up too much of your time. It's my pleasure to be here to serve all of you. If you have any medical needs, come to see us, me and Julia. Okay, have a good day.
Are there any unanimous consents? Does any senator wish to rise on a point of personal privilege? Recognize the senator from the 7th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to recognize the Shia Ismaili Muslim community of Georgia. Georgia's strength has always been shaped by the richness of its communities. Today, we are proud to recognize one that exemplifies that spirit. As the global community observes Ramadan, a sacred month of reflection, gratitude, and service, we commend the Shia Ismaili Muslim community of Georgia, comprising approximately 15 million members across 35 countries. The Ismaili community is guided by His Highness Prince Rahim Aga Khan V, the 50th hereditary Imam, in an unbroken chain of leadership spanning over 1,400 years. Here in Georgia, the Ismaili community members are our neighbors, educators, healthcare providers, entrepreneurs, and civic leaders. And through Ismaili Civic, they partner with organizations like the American Red Cross, the Atlanta Community Food Bank, and Hands on Atlanta to address real needs across our state. Today, they are here in the South Wing exhibiting the Aga Khan Award for Architecture, which celebrates excellence in the built environment across the Muslim world. We commend the Shia Ismaili Muslim community for their outstanding contributions to Georgia and join them in commemorating the holy month of Ramadan. Please rise to be recognized. Thank you for being here. In addition, I would like to also address some of these Islamophobic comments coming from the senator from the 27th. He's introduced an Islamophobic bill purporting to ban Sharia law, a bill that serves no legislative purpose except to malign and belittle the Muslim community. Yesterday, he introduced a video that was AI slop that was used as a political prop to stoke fear and hate. It is disheartening to see my community members turned into this political prop. The senator referred to fellow Americans as invaders and enemies. These are not neutral political terms. These are the same kinds of words that are dehumanizing that history's worst regimes used to justify persecution. To the senator of the 27th, I am your colleague, and I have never tried to blow you up. That is what his video suggested. The Muslim Americans are dangerous and that we were reduced to caricatures. It was a disgusting, hateful, racist video. And I am outraged that he had the audacity to introduce this video. This video needs to be taken down and he needs to apologize. He should be ashamed of stooping so low. We should not be spreading fear and hatred about our fellow citizens, and we should be building a better Georgia where we all belong. As a Muslim woman, as the first Muslim woman in this chamber, as I mentioned, I am outraged. This video has created more Islamophobia to my colleagues like the senator from the 5th and myself, my family, my children, my parents, the Muslim communities. How dare you release such a disgusting video? I yield the well.
Recognize the senator from 26.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today I come to the well to talk about somebody who is history. The senior senator from the 15th. Even though February is Black History Month, we are watching Black history unfold in our eyes. The senior senator is the longest serving senator of color. You know, it takes a lot of sacrifice to serve in this body. He is leaving us, and I want to wish him the best in all of his endeavors. As he leaves the Senate. I want to thank the folks from Columbus that sent him our way. He served with humility and conviction. I think we all need to stand and give him an applause.
Thank you. Well, good morning. Surprise, surprise. But the young man from Macon has always been a linebacker, and he backs that line with fury, doesn't it? But just let me say this. It's a great honor, a wonderful honor to have people think good, because people don't have to be kind to you, and they don't have to work with you, but I'm certainly in an august body that embraces that kind of fairness, that we can work together on as many issues as we need to. And I know we play political partisanship sometimes, as we probably should, but at the same time, we know that the standard for all of us should be and is the godly vision of how to run a state, how to run ourselves, and how to run our lives. What your mother told you, what my mother told me, is that do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And that's where you should live your life. And I've tried to do that in all my endeavors and everything I've tried, and I will always do that. So you guys are just wonderful. You're the best body that I've ever served in. I've served in a couple, school board and the council type stuff. That's tough, but this is really a step up to show your ability to live with others, to work with others, and that is just a great thing to do, and I'm just totally honored. This has been the greatest honor of my life, and just thank you. God bless you, and wherever my mama is now in heaven, she's looking down and said, that's my boy. God bless you. Thanks you. Appreciate it.
Well, those are very kind words from our good friend from Macon, Georgia, but they couldn't be truer than what they've said about the dean of the Senate here. The dean came to me yesterday and let me know that he wasn't going to be qualifying again, and he's been walking these halls a long time, both over in the House and the Senate, and he's always been a dear friend to me. And he and I would sit in that ante room most times when people were out here having big debates on things, and we would laugh and cut up, and I will always remember the good stories you told me about, literally war stories when you served in the Army, and in your days through radio, and you used to be an insurance salesman and everything else, and tell me about your mother and how y'all grew up and how she taught you how to do exactly what you just said, do unto others. And there's not a finer gentleman that has served in this body than Senator Ed Harbison, and I appreciate your friendship. Yep. And he would always tell me, when we quit laughing and picking at one another back over there in the ante room, we start talking about whatever bill we were doing today, and when I knew he was going to tell me no on something, he'd always lead, well, I love you, Jones, but but you know, I can't take it for them folks in my caucus. They'll be on me if I go with you on this one, but I'll get you on the next one, you know. But yeah, Senator, you've been a real treat, and I won't tell everybody how old you really are because you've been around here a long time here. But he's well in his 80s. He looks like he's in his 60s, and I still tell him all the time. He still has that silky smooth radio voice, so he's got a career in that. As soon as he leaves here, we bet you a podcast, you know. So, the stories of Ed Harbison. I can see it right now, but. We appreciate you, appreciate your service, and wish you nothing but the best. But we're going to do something special for you before the end of this session. The senator, our good friend from Macon, just kind of got ahead of us, but that's all right, though. He had it on his heart to talk about it today. So we appreciate you, and we look forward to celebrating you when we get towards the end of session here. So thank you. Mm-hmm. Recognize the senator from the 44th, 17th. Used to be 44th.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Colleagues, today is Clayton State University Day at the Capitol. Clayton State University is an institution committed to social mobility and improving the lives of its students through teaching, scholarship, and service. Clayton State University was named number 21 by the U.S. News and World Report in social mobility, marking a third year in a row of increase. In 2025, Clayton State University earned national recognition for its commitment to first-generation student success by the First Gen Forward Network. Students in the Clayton State University School of Nursing earned a 100% pass rate on the most recent NCLEX Nursing Board exam. Isn't that wonderful? A new bachelor's degree in cybersecurity was established in 2025 to meet the growing demand for skilled professionals in one of Georgia's fastest growing fields. Clayton State University partnered with Clayton County to launch a data sharing partnership to boost workforce and economic growth. The economic impact of Clayton State University reached nearly $300 million. Spivey Hall on the campus of Clayton State University continues to be an internationally recognized concert hall. So I'm just so delighted to recognize Dr. Joyce Lewis and the Clayton State faculty, students, and supporters here today. Would you please welcome them? If we have students in the audience, in the balcony, would you please stand? I see Dr. Lewis and the others. Dr. Lewis, we want to make sure that people know who you are. So if you can stand right there and wave your hand, and we have one of the students here and the faculty. Give them a big hand. Welcome to your state capitol and to the Georgia State Senate. Thank you very much, Mr. President, and I yield the well.
Thank you, Senator, and thank you, Clayton State leadership, for being here today. Always good to see you and do a wonderful job there at Clayton State University. I recognize the senator from the 9th for appointed personal privilege.
That's good. Thank you, Mr. President. And colleagues, I rise today because Georgia families are paying the price for decisions made in Washington, and we cannot pretend otherwise. Last weekend, President Trump escalated conflict with Iran, launching military strikes that have deepened U.S. involvement. And when Washington escalates conflict, it's not billions who feel it first. It's working families filling their tanks, single parents commuting to work, and small businesses trying to keep their doors open. Georgia families are already paying too much for groceries, rent, childcare, insurance. Now they face the possibility of higher gas prices because of a fabricated war being used to boost the president's ego and distract from failed policies and unresolved scandals. Instability in the Middle East always moves global oil markets. And when oil markets move, gas prices rise. According to the AJC, gas prices in Metro Atlanta hit $2.83 on Monday. That was up 14 cents from the previous weeks. The statewide average climbed 12 cents. Analysts warn prices could rise another 10 to 30 cents as markets react to the volatility surrounding the conflict involving the United States, Israel, and Iran.
Experts agree that the U.S. is unlikely to face supply shortages, but even as a net exporter, we are not insulated from global price shocks. Higher gas prices don't stop at the pump. They rise transportation costs, shipping costs, and ultimately the price of everyday goods. While working Georgians brace for higher costs tied to this escalation, this chamber is debating policies that benefit the wealthiest, considering incentives for massive data centers, while everyday households worry about their power bills and advancing measures that have nothing to do with the basic cost of living. Because when instability abroad drives up costs at home, it's our constituents who are going to feel it first. Not the powerful, not the well-connected, but families already stretching their everyday dollar. And I'm going to leave these headlines for all of you to see. This war, it will cost us, and it will cost Georgians ultimately. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the well.
Recognize the senator from the 5th.
Normally, I don't come to waste my time in the world, friends and colleagues. Last night, after I left this chamber, I had to go attend a Boy Scout fundraising in Gwinnett. And suddenly at night, I got a text message from one of my aides. Did you see this video? So I texted, no, I'm going to see it once I get out of the program. And I watched that video posted by one of my colleagues running for higher office. By the way, I know a lot of my colleagues are running for higher office, and you have to do campaign. I understand. People ask me, are you running? No, I'm not running, I'm staying. I'm here, I'm not running. So I don't have to post any video or anything else. But when I looked at the video, my response was, it's pathetic, it's unbelievable. It is really pathetic to see how low you can go. That's not good. That's not good. I believe that all of you have a constituency in trying to serve your constituency, get to higher office, which is understandable. You drop a bill, ban Sharia law, whatever it is. I've seen this game before. It's not new. It is okay. We can debate. There's no Sharia law in Georgia. Anybody following? I understand. But in order to get a nomination, you want to go that low, that's unwarranted. That's not good. That's beyond the dignity of the office. This is the beyond the, you portray a Muslim. I'm a Muslim. You should have known that you serve. I served with you all for a long, long time. And that's not wanted. That's not, it's crazy. It is really crazy. So I urge you, take that video off and you apologize. You apologize to the Muslim community, hundreds of thousands of folks. You want to serve in this chamber to represent them? This is not going to happen. If you think that we're going to get you nomination, you're not going to go nowhere. But anyway, I'm kind of outraged. I'm really outraged. That should not have happened. I respect you all. I know you respect me. So please take that video off and apologize if you want to go further office, higher office instead of Georgia. Georgia is better than that. I represent Georgia, not only in Georgia, all around the world. If you want to represent Georgia, you gotta be a better human being. You got to be. And I know people, when I go around the state, around the country, around the world, I can assure you, I've been to more places than most of you all in this chamber, most of you. And people respect me because who I am, how I get elected in Georgia. People ask me, how is a Muslim man, how is somebody from Bangladesh can get elected instead of Georgia? And I tell them, Georgia is not the same Georgia you have read and seen 30, 40 years ago. Georgia has changed. Georgia is much better than people think around the world. So you want to represent Georgia, you better be a better human being. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the well.
Recognize the senator from the 13th.
Senators, today they're asking for a senator to come join the 300 licensed professional counselors who are here at the state capitol to celebrate their 2026 LPCA Day at the Capitol. They'll be on the south steps from 8:30 this morning until 12 noon. The Licensed Professional Counselors Association represents more than 12,000 licensed counselors in Georgia who provide critical mental health services to patients across Georgia. And since we just passed the great money, the $409 million for mental health, go down and talk to them, tell them how much we appreciate them. That's today. Mr. President, I yield the will.
Recognize the senator from the 30th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was hoping I wasn't going to have to come down here today, but I was afraid I was going to have to because I knew we was going to have someone come down to attack the Commander-in-Chief of our country with our men and women of the service in harm's way. And we have lost 6 service members since this campaign has started. And may God bless their souls and their families, and we hope that every one of our service members are safe during this conflict. Who did the president remove? A dictator and a killer that's been in office since 1989. 10 years earlier, in 1979, the Islamic Revolution took over, kidnapping 444 American citizens. The Ayatollah was responsible for widespread human rights abuses, including the imprisonment, torture, and execution of political dissidents, students, protesters, and people that just sought basic human rights. If you lived an alternative lifestyle in Iran, you were hung from a crane or a building. This man and his military was responsible for the thousands of American soldier lives, and also many of those soldiers lost limbs because of Iran and the Ayatollah. So we're in the middle of a conflict. We took out a dictator that's killed many of our service members and maimed them, and we're going to come down here during combat and go after our commander-in-chief. We won't talk about gas prices. Let's do it. During Biden's administration, for over 1,400 days, gas prices were higher then than they are now. The hatred for the commander-in-chief has got to stop, and let's rally around our country, especially when they're in harm's way in this combat, and may God keep everyone safe. Thank you, Mr. President.
Recognize the senator from the 14th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to be brief and not very specific. I just think this election year has proven that you can claim that you're going to focus on something that voters are talking about all day. You can say the word affordability 900 times, cost affordability, but at the end of the day, when the rubber meets the road, when the cards are on the table, voters see your priorities by your actions and your words. And instead of focusing on health care and child care and the cost of groceries and now oil spiking because of a new war, instead what we get are more bills about trans people, slights about entire communities, Muslim communities, some of the most racist stuff you've ever seen, and ultimately a crossover day and a sine die that will be defined by a failure to resist the impulse to revert to culture war. Because when you're out of ideas, that's all that's left, is culture war. And so I think we are seeing in real time how the choice is going to be teed up for November. Is it going to be a party with 20 years in power that is addicted to culture war as the only way to mobilize its base, or is it going to be the party that's saying real things about healthcare subsidies going away, about doing something about affordable housing? The choice will be clear, and there's nothing we can really do to change the trajectory of the next few weeks. We're going to see this continue to play out. Thank you, Mr. President.
Any more points of personal privilege? How you doing, Senator? Did you go qualify? You did? You ready to roll? All right. I'll take a motion. Huh? You have a consent calendar of privilege resolutions. Does any senator wish to remove a resolution from the consent calendar? Is there objection to adoption of the resolutions on the consent calendar? Chair hears none. Resolutions on the consent calendar are adopted. Are there any motions to withdraw or commit? It is now time to consider the confirmation of the governor's appointments. Recognize the senator. Senator from the 45th, for what purpose do you rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask that House Bill 1245 be removed from state and local government local and be recommitted to state and local general bill.
Did you know about that? Stand by, Senator. We got to pull that bill so we can read it. Just stand by. We just got to get the caption so we can read it to the body. Senator from the 45th has made a motion. Secretary, read the caption.
House Bill 1245 by Representatives Cameron of the 1st and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act providing for the election of the members of the Board of Education of Walker County, approved March 8, 1968 as amended, so as to provide that future members of the board shall be elected by the voters of the respective education districts instead of by voters of the entire school system, to provide for related matters, to repeal conflicting laws and for other purposes. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Senator from the 45th, would you like to speak to it? All right, he waves. Is there objection? Without objection. Recognize the majority leader for a motion.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent to dispense with the reading of the names of the governor's appointments.
Majority leader has moved for ask for unanimous consent to dispense with the reading of the names of the governor's appointments, where we're about to take up here. Is there objection? It is suspended. Recognize the majority leader again.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that one roll call vote suffice for the confirmation of the governor's appointments.
right. Majority Leader has moved that we have one vote. We have an objection. Senator, who would you like to?
Mr. President, I would deny unanimous consent as to EO 5.23.25.01, Mr. Vincent Daniel Dooley's appointment to the Lake Lanier Islands Development Authority.
All right, Senator. So you object to that individual, so would you like a roll call vote?
I would like a roll call vote on that one separately, Mr. President.
Okay. All right, we can do that.
Thank you.
So we will have two separate votes. We'll have one on all the governor's appointees with the exception of one that he objected to, and then we'll have a separate vote for that individual right there. So. Majority Leader.
Mr. President, I move that the governor's appointments be confirmed as submitted.
All right. Majority Leader has moved. All right. Majority Leader has moved that we vote on the governor's appointees with the exception of the one that the senator from the 14th objected to. I recognize the senator from the 42nd. For what purpose do you rise?
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent to be excused from voting on the governor's appointments pursuant to Senate Rule 5-1.8D.
All right. Without objection, senator from the 15th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask unanimous consent to be excused from voting on the governor's appointment pursuant to the Senate Rule 5.1.8D.
All right, without objection, and recognize the senator from the 10th, who is not here. So, he's asking to be excused anyway, so he'll not be here for the vote. So, we are going to take up the vote on the entire body with the exception of one. All those in favor of the governor's appointees will vote yea. All opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the confirmation of the governor's appointments, the yeas are 44 and the nays are 7. And these members have been confirmed. All right, now we're going to take up the senator from the 31st, Majority Leader. For what purpose do you rise?
Mr. President, it's unanimous consent to table the nomination of Vincent Dooley.
So the Majority Leader has asked that we table the nomination of Vincent Dooley. Is there objection? Without objection, we are tabled. Recognize the Majority Leader for a motion.
Mr. President, once again, I ask unanimous consent for the following bills and resolutions being engrossed: SB 306, SB 465, SB 498, and SR 668.
Majority Leader has moved that SB 306, SB 465, SB 498, and SR 668 be engrossed. Secretary, read the captions.
Senate Resolution 668 by Senators Dolezal, the 24th, and others. A resolution proposing an amendment to the Constitution so as to authorize the General Assembly to provide by general law for the assessment of property taxes on property used primarily for the manufacturing, assembling, processing, or storage of products or the housing of electronic equipment primarily used to process, store, or transmit digital information and data, to provide for related matters, to provide for the submission of this amendment for ratification or rejection, and for other purposes. Mr. President, that completes the order. Senate Bill 306 by Senator Robertson of the 29th. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 48-5-7.4 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to preferential assessment for bona fide conservation use property and bona fide residential transitional property so as to require notices of impending expiration to be sent via certified mail, to provide for the reinstatement of certain covenants and preferential assessments in certain limited circumstances, to provide for appeals and refunds, to prohibit additional fees or interest, to provide for related matters, to repeal conflicting laws, and for other purposes. Senate Bill 465 by Senator Gooch of the 51st and others. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 2 of Chapter 7 of Title 48 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to imposition, rate, computation, exemptions, and credits relative to income taxes so as to disqualify business enterprises that hire illegal aliens for large-scale projects from claiming certain tax credits associated with such projects, to provide for related matters, to repeal conflicting laws, and for other purposes. Senate Bill 498 by Senator Dixon of the 45th and others. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 31B of Chapter 2 of Title 20 of the OCGA relating to charter school capital finance so as to establish the Georgia Charter Schools Facilities Authority for the purpose of enabling charter schools to obtain revolving loan funds and other public financing assistance for purposes of constructing, renovating, and rehabilitating educational facilities for such schools, to amend Article 2 of Chapter 17 of Title 50 of the OCGA, the Georgia State Financing and Investment Commission Act, so as to provide for the state issuance of general obligation bonds by the Georgia State Financing and Investment Commission, to provide for educational facilities for charter schools, to provide for related matters, to repeal conflicting laws, and for other purposes. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Senator from the 9th, for what purpose you rise?
I ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 7th.
Without objection, the senator from the 7th is excused. All right, the Majority Leader has moved that SB 306, SB 465, SB 498, and SR 668 be engrossed. Is there objection? There is objection. All those in favor of engrossment? You wave? Oh, I'm sorry. I meant, yeah. Yeah, would you like to speak to it? I think we're all clear you're against engrossment. All right. All right, all those in favor of engrossment will vote yea. All those opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. But thank you, Senator. On the motion to engross, the yeas are 31, the nays are 22, and the motion has prevailed. On to the rules calendar. SB 478. Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Bill 478 by Senator Watson of the 11th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 6A of Title 12 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to outdoor stewardship so as to provide for a sunset, to raise the percentage of monies appropriated, to provide for related matters, to repeal conflicting laws, and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Natural Resources and the Environment recommends that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Anderson of the 24th District, Chairman. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Recognize the senator from the 11th, class of 1997, that runs Colquitt County down there. I mean, everybody's in the class of 1997 down there.
Heck yeah. Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the Senate, I do bring before you Senate Bill 478. This was a monumental piece of legislation that this body and the entire General Assembly passed back in 2018 to protect our natural resources in this state. And so today we are looking to extend that program, but also to add some more resources to that program. And if you don't remember, this was voted on by the people of Georgia, by over 80% of the voters in the state of Georgia in 2018 when we put this into law. It has been a very, very, very beneficial program to the state of Georgia, and we've been able to protect a lot of our natural resources, and I hope we can continue to do that going forward. And I would greatly appreciate your support. And if there are any questions, I'll be glad to take them. If not, I'll yield the well, Mr. President.
You have no questions, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate your support. Thank you.
Senator from the 39th, would you like to speak to the bill?
Colleagues, I rise in support of this legislation. SB 478 strengthens the Georgia Outdoor Stewardship Trust Fund by increasing the percentage of funds dedicated to conservation and outdoor recreation and extending the program's authorization through 2039. This program has quietly become one of the most effective tools we have for protecting land, expanding access to nature, and strengthening our outdoor economy across the state. And I've seen the impact firsthand in my district. Through this fund, Trees Atlanta, working with the Atlanta Beltline and the Path Foundation, received support to extend the Atlanta Beltline West Side Trail toward the Silver Comet Trail. That project helped close a major connectivity gap between downtown Atlanta and one of the longest trail systems in the Southeast. But it does more than just connect trails. It restores fragmented wildlife habitat in the middle of a major metropolitan area. It expands the Beltline Arboretum, and it creates new outdoor spaces where families can walk, bike, and experience nature. This bill ensures that the Stewardship Fund can continue doing what it has always been meant to do, which is protect land, support local projects, and expand access to the outdoors for communities across Georgia. For those reasons, I urge your support. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield.
Thank you, Senator. I recognize the Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise today in support of SB 478. We are blessed to live in a state with remarkable beauty. From the longleaf pine forest stretching along the southern border to the mountain ridges of the north, to the rivers and wetlands winding through our communities, Georgia is a living inheritance. And like every inheritance, it comes with responsibility to protect it, to nurture it, and to leave better than we found it for those after us. For too long, conservation has been treated as somebody else's job. The federal government's domain, a distant concern for places like Yellowstone or the Rockies. But the truth is, the most meaningful conservation work often happens closer to home. It happens right here in the state of Georgia, when we choose to invest in our own land, our own wildlife, and in our own communities. 7 years ago, Georgia made exactly that kind of choice. The Georgia Outdoor Stewardship Act established the Outdoor Stewardship Trust Fund with a clear common sense mission to protect critical lands, support parks and trails, whether you're in rural Georgia or inner city Atlanta, and safeguard the natural systems that keep our water clean and our wildlife thriving. The results speak for themselves. More than $118 million has been invested. 62 major conservation projects completed across the state, tens of thousands of acres of habitat preserved, including the endangered longleaf pine forest along the Georgia-Alabama border that I will note was done with bipartisan leadership in this state, protecting rare plants and animals while creating recreational access for families and outdoor enthusiasts. 45 miles of waterways secured for future generations, a program that truly benefited Georgians and the land we dearly love. This is not a partisan program, it's a Georgia program, supported by hunters and hikers, by rural landowners and urban families, by Republicans and Democrats who understand that clean water doesn't ask for your party affiliation, that a forest doesn't care who you voted for. Now we have an opportunity to build on that success through this Senate bill. It would double the share of outdoor recreational sales tax credit, sales tax revenue directed to the Outdoor Stewardship Fund from 40% to 80%. No new taxes, no new government bureaucracy, simply a smarter allocation of revenue that is already being collected, and stronger commitment to the caring of the land that defines our state. Doubling the funding means doubling the impact, doubling the conservation projects, doubling the amount of wildlife habitats nurtured and protected, doubling the impact that we will leave behind, a mark of commitment of conservation that will last for many generations. Georgia will be the leader in the nation on conservation from a practical, effective, and rooted in our genuine love for the land of our state and country. Now let's honor that legacy today as we honor the rest of our country, knowing that you don't have to wait on Washington, D.C. to do the right thing. You can act right here at home with the people who know this place best. So I urge you to pass this bill, protect Georgia's natural heritage, and make an investment into the land that our children and grandchildren will inherit for generations to come. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the well.
Thank you, Senator. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of committee, which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. Question is on the passage of the bill. All those in favor vote yea. All opposed, nay. Secretary will unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 55 and the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. It really is remarkable. I mean, I've never seen so many people from one class in one county that are literally, you're on the school board, you're on the county commission board, the sheriff's in your class, the state senator. It really is. It's pretty remarkable. So, what do you think about that, Senator? It's wild, isn't it? I know. I could tell you were excited about it. All right, moving on. Senate Bill 489.
Senate Bill 489 by Senator Goodman of the 8th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 11 of Title 47 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to the Judges of the Probate Courts Retirement Fund of Georgia so as to allow the Board of Commissioners of the Judges of the Probate Courts Retirement Fund of Georgia to set monthly dues, to provide for limitations on such authority, to provide for factors in such determination, to increase the fee on marriage license, to increase the fee on civil filings, to increase the fee on certain fines and bond forfeitures, to provide for related matters, to repeal conflicting laws, and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Retirement recommends that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Burns of the 25th District Chairman. Mr. President, that completes the order.
All right. I see we've got one of our former colleagues on the floor here, former Senator John Kennedy. Let's give Big John Kennedy a round of applause. Good to see you, Senator. Good to see you. I hear you're out there working hard. Recognize Senator from the 8th. Senator from the 8th to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 489, the Probate Judges Retirement Fund relies primarily on court-generated fees and employee contributions. It's important to note that the fund does not receive any appropriations from the General Assembly. All this bill does is, by current actuarial studies, due to a decline in applications, their funding is going to fall below the 100% level. This bill does not increase any fees. All it does is make a minor adjustment in the percentage of the fees that go into the retirement fund, and it also increases the employer contribution. So with that, Mr. President, I'll yield for any questions or yield the well.
You do have one question, Senator. I recognize the Senator from the 42nd.
Senator Yield?
Yes, sir.
Senator, to make sure I understand, so this bill does not actually increase any of the fees that someone that's going to a probate court would pay, with the exception of the last part of the bill that does increase the fee that's tacked on to a criminal charge for someone for $2 extra. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Do you further yield?
Yeah, be glad to my friend, the chairman of the Judiciary Committee.
Outside that $2 charge added to those probate courts that do criminal law, all we're doing is saying to help make sure that our probate court judges' retirement fund has what it needs. We're increasing the amount that the probate court puts in from the fees they collect into that fund. Is that correct?
That is correct, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
No other questions, Senator.
All right, thank you, Mr. President. I urge your favorable consideration.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. Questions on the passage of the bill. All those in favor will vote yea. All opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 53, the nays are 1. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Secretary read SB 503.
Senate Bill 503 by Senators Harbin of the 16th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 7 of Title 33 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to kinds of insurance, limits of risk, and reinsurance so as to exempt rental home marketplace guarantees from the definition of property insurance, to require certain language, to provide for compliance with certain registration requirements, to provide for definitions, to provide for related matters, to repeal conflicting laws, and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Insurance and Labor recommends that this bill do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Harbin of the 16th District, Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Insurance and Labor offers the following substitute to Senate Bill 503, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 7 of Title 33 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to kinds of insurance, limits of risk, and reinsurance so as to exempt rental home and marketplace guarantees from the definition of property insurance and for other purposes. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Recognize the Chairman of Insurance and Labor, Senator from the 16th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I bring you SB 503. It is a rental home marketplace guarantees and insurance. What's happening is that we are renting homes, Airbnbs, things of that nature, and what this does, they give a guarantee, but what this bill does is it requires also to have an insurance policy as a backstop to any property damage done. So it's not only their guarantee from who you're renting it through, whatever organization that is, but it also requires a policy that would cover damages that were done to property. It's a simple bill, but a great consumer bill for those people who are renting out houses.
You do have one question, Senator. I'm sorry. Recognize the Senator from the 41st.
Thank you, Mr. President. Back here, Senator, you yield?
Yes, thank you. Was trying to figure out where you were.
Yes, thank you, sir. I just want to make sure, is it true that this is requiring the homeowner to have an additional insurance product to protect their property, or is this requiring the vendor to have an additional insurance additional insurance available?
Good observation. It is the vendor that's being required this to back up their guarantee, because many of the homeowners or policies may have limitations when you're renting the house back out, so this is making the vendor provide that.
Do you further yield?
Yield.
Has there been a problem with vendors not honoring their guarantee already?
There have been issues, but what we were looking at is this would give a backstop. It's a good consumer bill to keep, if there's questions, they can fall to the insurance if there is a problem. And that's why we think it's a good consumer bill in case they get that, because many different organizations are getting into this type of business.
One final question, if you'll yield.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
What will the impact be on rental prices if these vendors are forced to have another insurance product? How will this impact the cost of being able to have a short-term lease?
It's a very small fee from that standpoint overall. What we're trying to do, though, is that if you rent your house out and somebody comes in and does damage, most of the agreements that are online say we'll fix it, but this is requiring an insurance policy to be in place. I don't have any kind of fiscal note on it, but I believe that we require this for so many other businesses. It just makes sense when you're renting your home out or your property.
Yeah, no further questions, Senator.
Thank you. I yield. Well,
does any other senator recognize the senator from the 9th? Would you like to speak to the bill?
Sometimes you're gone when I've been up here. You let Walker. Okay, thank you, colleagues. So I think the intent of the bill is okay, but I do have some issues because a guaranteed insurance isn't the same as insurance. My concerns in committee and my concerns are still that this would not have the same proper oversight that under our insurance commissioner that would normally be required when there is real insurance on properties. So that's my main concern. I'm voting no. I voted no in committee. Supposedly there's some language in the bill that determines that it does have some oversight, but I was not satisfied with that language in the bill or the answers that I got. So with that, Mr. President, I yield the will.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there objection to favor? Question is on the adoption of the committee substitute. Is there objection to the adoption of the committee substitute? Hearing none, the committee substitute is adopted. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. Question is on the passage of the bill by substitute. All those in favor of the bill vote yea. Opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 42, the nays are 11. This bill, having received a requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed by substitute. All right, here we go. We're going to, it's about 12:10. The pro tem has lunch for us in the ante room, and it's probably a lunch that you can't bring to your desk. And so I think it's chicken pot pie. Is that right, Senator, or something like that? Yeah, that's going to be one that you're probably going to have a little space to eat. So let's break for lunch for about 30 minutes. We'll come back and then try to get through these bills. So just stand at ease for the next 30.